it's Siona from Honouring Me and the Hooked on Crochet Club, and I wanted to come on here and talk to you about this scarf or cowl. So this is my free pattern of the month for September. So every month, the first Saturday of the month, I release a free pattern, goes directly to everyone that's on my newsletter, but anyone can get it at any time during that month until the next one comes out. So this one is my September one, and this is Spring Garden. So if you're watching this after September, it is still available to purchase on my website, Etsy, Ravelry, Lovecrafts, Knit Crate, anywhere. So there is a link to the store on Instagram and in my profile. So this one I've got wrapped. It's actually an infinity scarf, and this one I've made from a fingering weight yarn, which for me was from Rusty Chairs, or Old Rusted Chair I should say. It's a 1 skein scarf, and it used about 400 yards, which is just under that in meters. And I made it, you can use with a 2.5 or a 3mm hook. Now, being an infinity scarf, you've got the option, so that was wrapped 4 times I think, so you can adjust it to sit at whatever length you want. So we've got that, sorry it's all tangled now, wrapped 3 times, and it sits a little bit lower. And then you've got it, if you want to wrap it twice, it works quite nicely as well. It sits more like a necklace. Oh, it's getting tangled. Shouldn't have done it like that. So there's lots of variety here. Now, it's actually quite a simple design. So if I show you up close, it's all mesh design. It's quite pretty, and it works into one great big long scarf. And because it's joined at the ends, it's very easy just to link on and wear. And I called it Spring Garden. Now, this was out of my comfort zone when I made this. It's a speckled yarn, which I don't tend to work with, but when I did put it all together, it reminded me of flowers in a garden, so I thought it was quite pretty. Now, it's very suitable for beginners as well, because all the stitches in it, although it might look a little bit complicated, it's not really. It's all just single crochet and double crochet and chains. So if you use UK terms, then that's double crochet and trebles. And it's a 4-row repeat, so it's quite easy to pick up as you go along as well. Now, you don't have to just make it with a fingering weight yarn, especially if you're not used to them that fine. I have made it with this yarn, and that's looking backwards, but this one is more of a chunky. It ended up being wider and shorter and only went around once. But still totally adaptable, as all my patterns are. So if you're not familiar with my patterns, they are all written in UK and US terms, so that you can, depending on your preference, you can read them. And I also put instructions for how you can amend it. So for this as well, if you wanted to use a fingering weight but you wanted it wider and shorter, then you can do that as well. I've got instructions in the pattern for that. And if you just wanted to follow it but you wanted it thicker with a thicker weight yarn, then that would just simply end up a bit shorter because you've got less meterage generally. So there's another example of a yarn you could make it into, so you could do it with a hand dyed of any sort, or even if you've got just a single skein of a variegated or a gradient yarn, you could do it in that as well. So as long as you've got 1 skein, then you're set. So if you do want to get hold of this pattern while it's still free, there's a link in my profile. You can head to that. It's free pattern sign up, and that'll send you directly by email. If you're watching this afterwards, then you'll need to purchase it from my store. But that's it. This is Spring Garden, and this is my free pattern for September. So if this is something that interests you now or even later, then go and get it.